Man, I hope this works. Maybe nobody will recognize me. Oh, hi guys. Do you recognize me? Do you know who is under here? 'Tis I. How are you today? I hope you're getting ready for Halloween, because I sure am. Now, let me tell you what I have going on. You know, today you may end up with a lot of candy. So what's the best thing to do with a lot of candy? How about making bread pudding, all right? This is something that I started with my sons years ago, is taking that leftover Halloween candy and making bread pudding out of it. Now I'm using French bread that's been in paper, so it's nice and dry, okay? And this is what I'm using. Here in the jar, I have Reese's, I have Hershey's, I have Kit Kat, I have Twix cookies, I have Almomd Joy. Whatever candy you happen to get, that's what you can use. Now, often in the past, I've done this with chocolate. I've used chocolate syrup on the bread and then used the milk. But you know what? Today, Monica says, hey, why don't you change it up some? So what I did, I made a little homemade caramel. So I'm going to pour some of this caramel over the bread. Oh, yes. That's going to go wonderful with this chocolate. The other thing I'm doing, I'm using a little buttermilk. I happen to have some buttermilk I use for something. So I said, why not make the bread pudding with buttermilk? And you know, when I make bread pudding, I always look for the texture of oatmeal. I don't want any dried pieces of bread. I want everything nice and moist and absorbed, where there's no dry bread left. And you see this caramel flavor is going to be all throughout the bread pudding. Now, if you'd like, you can also use, like I said, the chocolate syrup, okay? I might have to get a little more milk. Let me grab a little more milk. Because, you know, this is what's nice. You can always add to something. You can never take away from it. So there we are. Now, our eggs, we'll get the eggs in. You don't have to beat them in advance, because here, they're going to get beaten when you put them in, all right? So there's no need to beat them twice. But you're starting to see, because the bread is dry, it can start to absorb, all right? That's one of the things I think is most important about bread pudding, is using bread that's totally dry so it can absorb. And I know we're putting candy in, but guess what? We're going to get in some sugar. Yes. I know you're saying, wait up, you're using candy that's sweet? That's okay. That's all right. Okay? It is acceptable. It's acceptable. Now, the reason I'm beating like this is I'm checking to make sure that those dried pieces of bread are moist and absorbed. So I still have a few pieces. And you know, look, a little more milk. And let's get in a little splash of vanilla. I love vanilla, so I'll do a couple of tablespoons of vanilla. But this is one of the fantastic ways to use up that Halloween candy, all right? So look, all I did with the Halloween candy, I broke it up, all right? Just broke them in pieces, broke the peanut butter cups in half, broke the Twix in half, sectioned off. Look, here's the Almomd Joy I broke in half, sectioned off the little Hershey's Kiss, the Hershey's. But you know, you could do this with Hershey's Kisses. You could do this with Three Musketeers, Milky Ways, anything you happen to get.
You probably don't want to do it with Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah, Sour Patch Kid, that would be different. I've never tried a Sour Patch Kid bread pudding. Now, this is something else that makes a different, gang. If you taste this now, it'll probably taste good. But one of the things that makes bread pudding even better, butter. Let's just go ahead. I melted the butter earlier. Let me just give it a stir. I'm going to get this butter in. Now, I use salted butter, okay? Salted, unsalted, the one that's on sale. That's that one that you want. Now, I have the oven preheating 350 degrees, okay? our pan, I've taken our pan and I've just sprayed it with a little all-purpose spray. That's what we want. So let's go ahead and just put this right in our pan. Now, if you notice the texture that we have, okay? If you're having a party and you want to make this ahead of time, okay? Make it just a little moister than normal because you're going to bake it twice, okay? Here, if I were doing this for a party, it would be moister than this. I would bake it off for 45 minutes. During that 45 minutes, the eggs will cook all the way through, but the bread pudding won't totally cook, all right? Then we could put it back in. By the time it heats all the way through and finishes cooking, roughly takes about another hour. This is gonna take probably an hour, 10 minutes, okay? Because of the eggs. See how it has that little slushiness to it as we shake it? It'll be nice and firm. When you shake it, it'll just give a little quiver. The best description I ever got for it, somebody said it looked like a thigh quiver. You know, you grab the back of your thigh and a little thigh quiver. That's what we want. So here we go in the oven. And this is just gonna bake really delicious. Oh yeah, oh yeah. I tell you what, that smells absolutely fantastic. Let's turn that oven off. And you know, the reason with the eggs and the light texture of the bread pudding, that's why it comes up. Now, of course, as it cools, it'll settle a little bit, but I like that dry bread because of that texture. So remember, inside, we did some Kit Kats, Hershey's, Reese's, Almomd Joy, the Twix cookies. So if you want, we could take a little bit of our caramel, all right, and just drizzle it over the top. Now, I'm not really gonna make a sauce for this. Normally with this bread pudding, I don't tend to make a sauce because it's so good by itself, and especially with the caramel on it. And you know what else will work nice with this? How about just a nice scoop of vanilla ice cream or some whipped cream? And to show what's inside, you can always just place some of the candies around, and that'll give an idea about what's inside. Now, Monica just says, would I normally cut those? Yeah, normally I would cut them. But when people want to know, hey, what did you put inside of that? That way they can get theirs and grab a little bite right off of the top of it, okay? So here is our wonderful way to use Halloween candy. Why not put in a bread pudding, all right? So hopefully this helps you, because you know there's going to be a lot of candy. And you know, the day's not done yet, because since I might have to make another pan of bread pudding, I may have to go out and get me some more candy. So I hope you all have a fantastic Halloween. For WWL, I'm Chef Kevin Belton, and off to get more candy. Have a great afternoon, gang. Keep masking up, washing those hands, keep being safe, and we shall see you soon. Thank you for cooking with me. Happy Halloween!